Welcome to Good Morning Anambra Tuesday edition. How are you? Sure you had a good night rest. Welcome. My name is Ijama, and we are set to bring you the first program on this lineup, which is a press review. Do stand by. Welcome again. Joining me this morning is one for as a former Simon, a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Simon.
Good morning. Good morning, Danambra, and all our viewers all over the world.
Okay, and I also have seated beside me, Osta is a public affairs analyst. Good morning, Osi.
Good morning. Thanks for having me. Good morning, Anambra.
Okay, as usual, we begin from the beginning, which is from our website this morning, where we have so many stories trending. The first one says, Anambra State Government commences work on Oka Erosion Control Project. Anambra Works Commissioner commenced quality of work on Unizik Junction, Opuno Isuanocha Red Project. And then Anambra State Government to revoke undeveloped clause after stipulated time. You may want to run and find out the stipulated time for all the plots you have acquired here and there before it's revoked. Okay, Ustaeze, let's look at what is going on in our erosion control. Your area is erosion prone, I know. I know, mine is too.
The thing is, Anambra has a peculiar kind of soil, so, and it makes it that easily. And it usually gets exacerbated during the rainy season, so it's quite timely that the Anambra State government has started looking in this direction. You give it to the present governor that he's somebody who understands what is expected of him at every step of the way, and I give him much kudos, and I encourage the group that has been assigned with this responsibility of seeing these erosion sites controlled and ensuring that more trees are planted like the governor advises, our drainage systems are not clogged, and our people don't build on places that would interfere with the free flow of water. I believe when we do all these things, we will go a long way in controlling erosion in Anambra State.
There's this pit that is dug from your side. They call it catchment pit or speed breaker, something like that, whereby the force of the water,
It's controlled.
you know, the water empties inside the pit, and before it fills and comes out, it slows the motion. Okay, I think that one is advisable too.
Yeah, sure. It also is also advisable.
And what about, Simon, what about the issue of people, this, what do you call it, interlocking or concrete, you know, in all the compounds?
Now,
okay, German floor, yeah.
Yes, government has to look into that. Let me join my colleague in saying, commending the governor and this thing. I think two things ought to be done. Number one, the contractors given to construct the road ought to step up a bit in order not to, because you can see that some of the time, even these the roads being constructed, when you delay them, the water will be causing more havoc and the damaging other direction. Even water that's supposed to flow, we collect together and go somewhere and start digging before you know erosion before you know it. So that is number one. Two, people, the citizens has to be educated. As you said, even in my community, it's a law that you must dig a catchment pit, as you said, in every compound. They said that any compound that doesn't do that there's a fine stipulated for it. So those people doing interlocking or this thing, government has to check it. So that if you do it, you must have a solution for the water that is collected from your compound. You must have something like that, either a well is dug or a catchment pit, so that it wouldn't come outside. Because what landlords do these days is they build this thing and they throw it outside the road to destroy
other people's compound while they live in affluence. This is just a problem. I think while we fight this erosion, we have to look at these local measures, some local measures that might help us control erosion. Okay, then you talked about the construction of roads as delay in construction of roads as one of the things that lead to, you know, water washing the roads and thereby causing
and then repeating what ought to have been done, causing more cost. Because that's why they say that anything not done on the time. Now, some of the contractors use, I remember the one, the governor had to revoke the contract at this thing. So when you delay in meeting up with the time, then it will run into much more problems. Because the water will come, like some of the roads there now, you see that what they ought to have, they have repeated it more than 3-4 times. Even the gutters that are being constructed, the water will come and destroy it. You start again. Then vehicles will be stampeded and what you have you. So these are the things. And then water from that will go to another place to destroy the place. But if you have done it in time before the heavy rain comes, then there wouldn't have been any problem and the work will flow.
Okay. Thank you very much. Talking about construction, Anambra Works Commissioner comments quality of work on Unizik Junction, Opuno, Isuanocha rails, and so many other adjoining roads that I think that's, what about this one that's coming from Bon Hotel, you know, coming down to join that Unizik Junction? What have you seen? Have you, you know, passed through those roads?
Yeah.
And how can you assess the project?
Well, the thing is, I think it falls into what my colleague is saying. I think there's been some delay in the construction of that road. And you find out that there's usually heavy traffic there, especially towards the evening hours. I don't even know how people who live around there manage to go about their daily activities. So there's a need for contractors to really rise to their responsibility and do things the way they are supposed to do so that it don't constitute more problems for the citizens. And of course, the governor will bear the brunt because you hear people complaining the governor is delaying and all that, when meanwhile the governor must have delegated the responsibility to some persons.
What actually will make a contractor delay project when you have been mobilized, you know, properly to do the work and then you are given a time frame? What brings this delay?
Sometimes you will come out on the road when there is dry weather. You expect them to be there. That you will not see them. Maybe towards the evening. Maybe, and then within a short time, rain will come and destroy the one they have done. Then tomorrow they will delay again. And some of the roads, they have been there at their spot, you know, constructing and reconstructing. But that is what you have. Some people, even I was in Keke the other day, some people were saying that in those old days, like in Onisha, MCC used to work day and night. It is even in the night where there is no traffic. Then they put their satellites and start constructing.
You go to bed in the night and you wake up and fly on a very
If you see what people
road.
go through, just as my colleagues, that is why sometimes some of us even prefer to leave our vehicles and because you cannot meet up here now.
Okay, but I think it's a gigantic project. That project of road construction from Unizik Junction to Opuno, Isuanocha, because that road has been very problematic. Okay, Anambra State Governor to revoke undeveloped plots after stipulated. You've been around, so you know what this one is all about. Okay, okay, some people buy lands, or perhaps leave it to appreciate. That's what it is. That's if they don't want to develop it. They leave it to appreciate so that they can sell it. Okay, and now government is saying that it's going to be revoked.
Okay. Now, actually, that has been a problem. You know, people, especially these areas, the areas that are developing, most people, almost everybody is now into land transaction. You can see somebody you don't know, almost everybody around this Oka or somewhere is now land agent. They will buy land or they will connect themselves to landlords and the landowners. And then we leave it to appreciate, looking for people to, has been a problem. But the other side of it, sincerely speaking, the other side of it. You know, some of the people who bought these lands, the time they bought it, I know a land that was transacted with the government of the state when Mbadinuju was on seat. Then because of one thing or the other, that thing was delayed. It was not properly given to the owner, for the people who subscribed for it. Then after all the whole thing, now the time the land is actually acquired, things has escalated. Most of people cannot afford, well, they were prepared before to develop it. So that is another part of it. Sometimes when there is a delay, maybe from the government or from the town unions or the owners of the land, you see that maybe when the time comes for the person, when the person has acquired the land, there will be no money to develop immediately. The person has to prepare again to enforce that.
All right, thank you very much. Let's now get down to the newspapers proper and find out exactly what are what. There are trending there. We have so many papers here: Daily Sun, National, New National Star, Punch newspaper, the Daily Independent, The Nation, The Guardian, and then, okay, I think that's all for now. Okay, let's start with the Daily Sun newspaper with that banner headline there. U.S. slams visa ban on election riggers is the first story we'll have coming from this place. U.S. slams visa ban on election riggers in Nigeria. With the writer there, unveil their identities. Nigerians urge. We have heard this story over and over again. Let's know who they are. Okay, Khan sets agenda for Tinubu is another story coming from the Daily Sun. Let's look at the riders. Harps on federal character principle. And then IGP warns saboteurs. Political elite against Scotland Tinubu's inauguration is another story coming from this Daily Sun. Let's look at other pocket stories here. Deliver on campaign promises or be sacked. Buhari tells governors, when he has how many days to go, so who will sack them? Okay, and then there's a writer there that perhaps explain what he means. But he says, outcome of 2023 polls shows anybody can be booted out. Okay, but that's the influence of the third force anyway. Okay, Senate presidency. More senators oppose APC zoning. Yari labels a senator select. And then Buhari orders held Chef Bassi for placing Nigeria on global spotlight. Is another story coming from here. Court stops NYSC from publishing disclaimer on Enugu governor-elect's discharge certificate. You just cannot believe what is going on in this country. Okay, don't meddle in our successors' affairs. Saraki, in your successors' affairs, Saraki, Aliu, others cancel outgoing governors. Assault on policeman, Fela's son handcuffed, detained, and maybe arraigned. Why not? Okay, the New National Star is our next paper this morning. IGP confirms plot to scuttle Tinubu's May 29 inauguration. What are all these insinuations for? If you dictate anything, handle it without even telling us. Okay, the writers there warns politicians against reckless statements. Security agencies launch manhunt for those behind plots. We shouldn't hear about this until you have finished working. Okay, U.S. imposes visa ban on Nigerians who manipulated 2023 elections. Is another story coming from here. Group demands 50% appointive positions for women from incoming governments. Okay, do we have another story here? Not really. So let's move to another paper, which is the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper, Tinubu's inauguration, military IG warn troublemakers as court hears anti-handover cases. Shehu Kitty spends night in custody, police plan arraignment. Okay, and then the Daily Independent, before we start talking, Daily Independent, inflation rises to highest in 17 years in April. This is, the story is on top of the name templates anyway, but the banner headline here says, Nigeria's 91.6 trillion debt. Okonjo-Iweala worried over rising burden of debt servicing. With some riders here, consigned it may eclipse recurrent expenditure. And then expenditure and investment, please. And then advises incoming governors on private investments, multilateral support. Okay, that's the advice coming from Okonjo-Iweala to the incoming governors. U.S. imposes visa ban on Nigerians who disrupted 2023 election is another story coming from here. By the side of this paper, we'll have these other stories. The incoming governors will build from foundation we laid. This is coming from incoming government. We build from the foundation we laid. This is coming from Buhari. And then fake OK's 3.04 billion naira for planes, taxi lightning system for 3 airports. Court restrains NYSA from publishing disclaimer against Enugu governor-elect. Group castigates Senate for holding down NDDC 2023 budget. Buhari praises Hilda Basi for placing Nigeria on global spotlight. Federal government approves 37 new universities days to bowing out of office. Oh my God. Okay, gentlemen, let's start talking. Starting from the first paper that we reviewed this morning, which is the Daily Sun. U.S. lands visa ban on election riggers. I think we have heard this story before. I don't know where the first one we had ended. And there's another one is coming up now. OC, how would this benefit us and how would this change the mindset of a Nigerian election rigger?
Well, the thing is,
if you stop him from going to
recent
US,
times,
he goes to Europe.
Well, in recent times, more people are beginning to realize that the U.S. has not been sincere to the world. They've been more interested in their own interest over the interest of other countries. And they don't care whose ox is God. That's a fact. Look at what's happening in Ukraine, all right, between Russia and Ukraine. Look at what's happening in the Middle East, what has been happening in the Middle East for decades now. Look at what's happening in Sudan, that is just our neighbor. All these things, if you analyze what's going on in all these places, you find out that the underlying factor is that these people, the Western world, is not interested. The Western world is not interested in anything that does not profit them. And Nigeria is richly blessed with a lot of resources, natural resources. And these Western countries, the U.S. inclusive, are interested in our resources. So I do not really think they really care about who rigged our elections and who didn't rig our elections. They are just, I believe they are just doing this to paint a good picture of themselves to people who are still believing in their sincerity, believing that they are sincere about their interest in international relations. The fact is that the U.S. is not interested in what's happening in Nigeria as long as they don't have a personal interest in it. Their interest is not being protected. They've said something like this before, that they ban whoever it is from coming into their country. But at the end of the day, they didn't do anything about it. Nothing came out of it, and now they are still repeating the same thing. We're tired of hearing these stories. There was a letter that Chimamanda Adichie wrote to the U.S. president. Until date, we've not gotten any response of any kind from them. And you can't tell me they didn't see this letter.
But some people say that they're acting based on that letter, that this recent listing of people that are going to give visa ban is the outcome of that letter that Chimamanda wrote to.
For goodness sakes, visa ban does not change the fact that this thing is happening. Or it's just like saying somebody who shot somebody is going to be prevented from coming into a country. He has already shot the person. All right? So what we're expecting is for them to intervene as a big brother of all the countries in the world by making a clear statement that so person was prosecuted in our country and therefore is not eligible. Let them make that clear statement. That's what Nigerian citizens, if they are really sincere about their position as a big brother of the world, let them make a clear statement about some of the things that Nigerians have found out through investigation, their complicity in the criminal state of the president-elect. They need to make a statement on that. That's when we know they are really being sincere.
Did you say their complicity? Do you suspect any kind of complicity?
Their silence can be is tantamount to complicity because they've not made any clear statement as a government as to the position of the president-elect in their criminal records.
I see. Okay, Council's agenda for Tinubu is another story coming from this paper, and then telling him to ensure that the federal character is adhered to in the choice of his recruitment. Simon.
Okay. I think that's good news in the sense that whoever is concerned respecting the principle of federal character ought to be our watchword. So I'm not too distant to these respected bodies like Ohaneze, Khan, and so on and so forth, that are supposed to be apolitical, involving themselves in politics. But I think they have to shape the society, just as they have said. If it
I don't think this one is politics. I think this one is governance.
That's the point I'm saying. If they have been involved in setting an agenda for the incoming government to do this and do that, I wouldn't have listened to it. But if it is based on respect the principle of federal character, make sure that equity and fairness is observed, I think they are totally correct. Because whoever is involved, if you want the unity of the nation, the oneness and as we claim to be, then that principle must be observed to the letter.
Okay, so you support Khan.
I support that.
So. All right, let's look at this annoying story that's coming from here. Sometimes some of us have been clamoring that the problems we're having in this country is judiciary based, okay? That if only judiciary will act the way they are expected to, that won't be having some of these problems. Look at the court injunction that came from the judiciary to stop NYSA from publishing disclaimer on Enugu State Governor's elect discharge certificates. So if NYSC does not have, it has not issued him any certificate, so you are now stopping them from saying we don't have him in our list. That is what that injunction is saying, or what do you think?
Well, these days we've seen that you can get any kind of court injunction. The other day we saw somebody get a court injunction that the police should not arrest him for a crime that he's been found
to have
committed. All right. So we've people have gotten court injunctions for the most preposterous things in Nigeria, and that is the country we live in. A country where monkey made away with our money, where snakes swallowed our money. I mean, this one should be more believable.
Oh,
let me come in briefly there.
Okay then.
You know, the problem is these things are dicey. Now, it's obvious that some of our judges and the courts are turning the justice upside down. But justice is, if you go into the critical analysis of law, you will see that without checks, somebody can even use executive power to just dump somebody or arrest somebody. So the court is still there to check. Now look at this thing. I listened to it yesterday. If actually, the only place I am annoyed with them is when you go to get that through ex parte order. The other side has no time to come and they defend themselves. You just go and they get injunction through ex parte order. That is motion ex parte to carry out that injunction. That is wrong. But if you are placed on notice, come and show cause why you should do this or why you should not, like interlocutory injunction. I don't think, because somebody may have been wronged. And then you don't have any other way to express your feelings. If actually the man served as he claims, and then maybe they issued him a certificate without signing it. For instance, I know some of the institutions were passed out. It was after some times that some people discovered that the NYSC discharge certificate, They said our certificates given. They said the ones that are not written this way, all those having the certificate should return it to be corrected. And so these things are what you have time to show us in the court of law, and then the court will weigh it and know where to. But sometimes somebody outside, but because they have turned justice upside down in Nigeria, a judge can give any injunction, a judge can give any ruling. Sometimes people are no longer patient to look into the nitty-gritty of the matters involved.
As Okafo, as a former, you are of the law profession. How do we control or handle this kind of judicial rascality that's coming from the judiciary?
That is, the other day I was here. Like my colleague just mentioned now. This thing is also linked to that when you were expressing the one of U.S. and there. I believe with you that the U.S. and some European nations are interested in whatever benefits them. But sometimes they must respect the principle of sovereignty. There is an extent another country will go into the internal affairs of another country. So you cannot just because you are a superpower or jump into
But they've been jumping now. They jumped in Iraq, jumped in Iran, jumped in Sudan, jumped in so many nations.
Remember what I said? I said I agree that they do this. But if we allow them, if we even encourage them, that means there is no equality before the law. If we encourage that, it means is it another way of encouraging slavery? Why did we fight for independence?
So in a situation where you can't help yourself and you are crying out for help and nobody comes to help you, that's exactly where we
go through the normal
ourselves.
process of maybe bringing it to the United Nations. Then the United Nations will agree with a resolution, not one country. Then if not, it becomes might becomes right.
All right, thank you. Let's move on. IGP confirms plot to scuttle Tinubu's May 29 inauguration. Osta, we have always clamored here about intelligence gathering. Okay, when you gather intelligence, what you do with it, and sometimes, growing up, some of these things we were not here. I mean, we didn't get to hear that this is. You just see results. Okay, so how do you expect that this should be handled instead of this noise making?
I really think the IGP is, I think he's just playing to the gallery. I believe that there's a piper that is playing the tune he's dancing to. I believe so. Because you can't tell me that when the police, with the level of training he has gotten and his men have gotten, he does not know when to keep short about what they are doing and when to speak. The truth is that the only plan to scuttle the May 29 swearing in is the one that is going on using due process, which is in the tribunal. All right? Certain individuals are saying that the person who was declared as a president was not supposed to be declared. And they've made their case officially, following due process. So that is the only known plan, the only plan any average Nigerian knows about. If there's any other plan to engage in violence or whatever, they are not supposed to tell us about it. They're supposed to go and handle it because that is their job. That is why taxpayers' money is being released to them. So they shouldn't come to the news to increase the level of tension that is already in the... We know that everywhere is tensed up already. A lot of things have gone wrong in these few months. A lot of people have gotten more disillusioned with this country. More people are leaving this country in their droves. Go to immigration this morning. I can bet you that once you get there right now, you're going to see a very long line of people who are trying to...
And your number will be getting to that of 1,000.
Of course.
It's horrible.
So,
and this doesn't give our government concern. Why are people leaving? Okay, let's continue. Okonjo-Iweala worried over rising burden of debt servicing, and just as she is worried about that, another $800 million is on the offing.
That's what you have just summarized it by saying that this doesn't give our government a worry. Okonjo-Iweala is well placed outside, but she's worried about her father's place, her home, this situation. But those who are ruling us, they are not worried. They are just interested in their personal interest. Government is going out in 1 week or 2 weeks, trying to borrow 800. So you can see that I don't know whether these people are human beings, whether they have conscience. If you see some of the things, I think one analyst was saying it on radio. I told my wife, I laughed that day. He said, I wouldn't say they are criminals. No, I will not say that. I will not say they are criminals. And I will not say that the radio station is equally afraid of saying the truth. I won't say that. So they are forcing people to, you cannot say that he called the leaders criminals. But he has not spoken anything.
He has not spoken anything. We need to join that with this other story. Incoming governments will build from foundation we laid. And some of us are asking out there which foundation. This is coming from Buhari anyway. Is it foundation of borrowing, foundation of insecurity, foundation of course, we had Wike outline all those things way back before he joined the bandwagon. Usta.
Yeah, thing is, I don't know how the president has been convincing himself that he has laid a good foundation, especially as when it comes to the issue of law and the supremacy of the law over individuals, regardless of the position they find themselves in the area of security of lives and property. I'm not sure he actually is telling himself the truth about the kind of foundation he has laid in these areas. All right? But what I keep saying over and over again every time I have the chance to is that if our state governors rise to their responsibility, I'm not sure a lot of people will be more so concerned about what the federal government is doing. It's just that the state governors are messing up too. It's just that our senators that will send to represent us are not doing what they are supposed to do. It's just that the people at the House of Assembly only know of their pockets. This is the reason the people keep pointing at the federal government. Let the state governors rise to their responsibilities, like our own Professor Chukuma Soludo is doing in Anambra State, and some other governors here and there. Pockets of them are doing. Once they start doing what they are supposed to do, you see that the citizenry will now start thinking home, all right? And nobody will be so concerned about what the federal government is doing, and things will fall in place. Federal government will be forced to do things the right way. So whatever it is, whatever narrative that Buhari has been given by his advisors that makes him feel he has laid a good foundation, well, you should go ahead with that. I wish him all the best, but let him still know that for staying aloof and such criminality happened under his nose in this handover process, he actually is aiding and abetting the breakdown of law and order in Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much. Let's look at the rest of the papers and then see where we can get a different story from what we have seen earlier. The Nation newspaper, IG warns subversive elements against plots to derail May 29. Is the banner headline on the Nation newspaper with a writer there. Political actors conspiring to stop inauguration of President-elect Tinubu governors. Okay, I think that's the only story we are taking from here. Let's look at the Guardian newspaper. Guardian newspaper is the next. Uncertainty over $2.3 billion Siemens deal as greed collapses 99th time under Buhari. 99th time. Wow. Okay. Other stories coming from the Guardian newspaper. Resident doctors declare 5-day warning strike. And the U.S. slams visa ban on Nigerians who undermine 2023 elections. Government kicks against move to halt doctors' migration. And then Buhari leaves inflation at highest in 17 years. These are the stories coming from the Guardian newspaper. Buhari Lawan, Hell Hilda on world record feeds. Assault, Kuti apologizes, gives officer 12,000 naira for vehicle repairs. So he wouldn't be arraigned again. Nigeria, my country. Okay. Yeah, I think that's all we have coming from the side of the pond. Let's look at the story of the resident doctors that are declaring 5-day warning strike. And I think it has happened before, and now they are breasting up again. We are going to join it with the government case against move to halt doctors' migration, and let's really find out what exactly is their problem. I know that this one trended, was it last month, that before you leave Nigeria as a medical doctor, you must have practiced for 5 years. Okay, and now they are gearing up for a warning strike. Simon,
those people we call our leaders are playing. They are just, kidding. You look at what you have just read now, that the national grid collapses, 99. Then there is another thing you say, Buhari something. Now, if you watch all these things, the person being addressed, the person at the helm of it is not constant. It doesn't bother you. And what worries me is, I remember how this man fought, what he did, that blood will flow if he, we were shouting change, Mr. Integrity, Mr. Integrity. And all this colossal failure doesn't give you any concern. Now, look at people leading, sitting the resident doctors from moving. When somebody has studied, you say cannot move out. But you move out to go and get medical care. You cannot prepare the ground for them to work. Then you will bound them not to go out for greener pasture. But you people are amassing our wealth.
Meanwhile, their children are outside.
Their children are schooling outside. Then themselves, small headache, they will fly out. Is that not impunity? That is, look at what you have just read about Kuti, somebody. That is why people behave rascally. Giving to somebody that accused the other day, he said that the man wanted to kill him and kill his family. Why not go to court and they prove it? You see what then now you are now immediately the IG announced it. He went to his lawyer. He went to Falana. Falana said, I'm his lawyer. He went there, and now he's giving 12,000 so that they will die the matter. Justice is tripartite. For the accused, for the victim, and then for the state.
Do you see the MPF dying this matter like you said? Because you slapped a policeman. You didn't slap him, you slapped the authority.
That is what...
because he's in uniform.
That's the point.
So it's actually the Nigerian police force that he slapped.
And even the citizenry, because it means that any other... That's the point that I will be surprised. He's giving 12,000, and I don't see the... Let him wait until the law takes its proper course. If you are paying, you know what you are paying. Let him go and prove to the court that the man wanted to finish his fight. Because that's why they behave anyhow. You see, something he said that between him and Okoye, when he was talking nonsense during this... that's why they mess up in Lagos and every other place, because they think that they own the world, they own Nigeria. They can do anything, because once you are known, you are celebrated, you are a celebrity. You can do anything and get away with it.
Too bad.
And then the younger ones will be following the bad impression. And they're trying to make money by all means.
Osta, let's begin to round up with this big story here. Starting to over 2.3 billion naira SMS deal as grid collapses 99 times under Buhari. And then we'll join it with this other story. Buhari leaves inflation at highest in 17 years. And yet, he is saying that the incoming government will start from the foundation he has laid. Where is the foundation?
It's crazy. The thing is, we know that sometime during the second tenure of Buhari, there was a deal that was struck with CMS to provide a better electricity grid for Nigeria and improve the amount of electric power that is provided to our grids. But you find out that if you look at what the news is telling us now, that for 99 times since that project started, the grid collapsed. So it goes to show that there is a possibility, if you really trace this, there's a possibility that certain individuals whose businesses would be compromised when Nigeria has steady power supply might be behind compromising this project. Because while all fingers are pointing at Buhari, let's also look at some other principalities and powers that are at play in Nigeria, who might have certain businesses. There was a time when a particular individual, let me not mention his name, who is known by everybody, was accused of being behind people who are importing generators into Nigeria. One of the major importers of generators, and that is one of the reasons why he has not allowed, he and his cohorts have not allowed our electricity to be stabilized in Nigeria so that their business will keep thriving. So I won't be surprised if further investigation would reveal that there are certain individuals who are sending out hoodlums to go and compromise that project. Because you can't tell me that a particular grid will collapse the first time, the second time, and then you keep counting till 99 times, and then you're telling me in this jet age that you've not been able to discover what the problem is. Even this SpaceX project that Elon Musk is carrying out, which nobody has done before, will not collapse up to 99 times before they get it right. So somebody is intentionally ensuring that that particular project is compromised so that his business will continue to thrive. And that's a big shame on Nigeria. Now, talking about the inflation rate rising even more, I mean, Nigerians, we've seen the worst of it under this particular administration. It can't get worse than this. It just can't get worse than this. All right? And what I'm encouraging Nigerians is that we should remember where we came from. There was a time when we believed that things will not get this bad. It is this bad already, and yet we are surviving it. Let's just keep encouraging ourselves. We're already thriving as private individuals. You can see what Hilda Basi has been able to achieve for herself. You see what our music, our entertainment people, both people who are doing short skits and people who are into music, how they are conquering all over the world, showing you that the Nigerians as individuals that we are meant for the top. It's just that our political sphere has been so compromised by both people from within and people from outside this country. And that is why things are going as awry as they are. But let's not lose all hope. All hope is not lost. We'll definitely get it right.
All hope is not lost, Nigerians. Please, stand firm. Okay, if you can't make it collectively, you can make it individually. That's what Oster has told us this morning. Thank you very much. Oster is a public affairs analyst for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me once again.
All right, and thank you, one for Ezra former Simon.
Thank you
also
very
a public
much.
Affairs analyst.
Thank you. Nde Anambra na Ndibai, I have always say, let us keep hoping, because when there is life, there is hope.
Very important.
And let us learn from the past. Let us learn to put a round hole in a round peg, a round peg in a round hole.
All right, thank you very much. We are completely out of time. Thank you for making it this morning. Well, if you like or you enjoy what we did today, remember to join us tomorrow early. My name is Ichoma. God bless you.